An alternate title of this video is, should we allow garbage teams in the playoffs? Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and today we are going to take a look at a topic that comes up every few years, and that is that the division winners, whoever wins the division, regardless of their record, gets a home game in the playoffs and gets to get into the playoffs. And so the issue that we're looking at is, should we just do away with this whole divisional winner gets in the playoffs? I'm not going to go as far as saying get rid of divisions. That's going to be another video, don't you worry. But yeah, this one's just looking at, should divisional winners automatically get a spot in the playoffs? Because as we're about to see on Sunday, we're either going to have a 9-7 or an 8-8 team that is going to represent the NFC East this year in the playoffs, and they're going to get a home game, and they are going to be hosting a team that is going to have a better record than them. Now, let's take a look real quick at the past, right? So there's been a number of 8-8 teams that have made it over the years, right? I mean, you even look back at like 2011, memories, the Denver Broncos led by Tim Tebow. Oh, you know, those were fun. Those were good times, right? But then you had losing teams that also entered into the playoffs as well. So in 2010, you had the 7-9 Seattle Seahawks, and they were the first time that a team with a losing record actually made the playoffs, besides the 1982 season, which was cut short because of a strike. But the Seattle Seahawks in 2010 were awful. Like, they were god-awful. They allowed 407 points during the regular season, and they hosted a game against the New Orleans Saints. Now, that provided us with an amazing moment, right? Because you had the beast mode, or the beast quake run, with Marshawn Lynch, like getting a 67-yard touchdown run against them, shocking the Saints and defeating them in the wild card round. Then in 2014, you had the Panthers, who were 7-8-1 because nobody in the NFC South had a winning record that year. Newton got into a car accident in that December. Then they went back and they won 4 straight to finish it off, and they beat the Cardinals in the wild card round, 27-16, when you had Ryan Lindley, who was their starting Cardinals QB. Yeah, that was super duper fun. That was a god awful game. And so, like, this isn't a new phenomenon, and this year we're not going to have a losing team who is going to be in the playoffs this year, but we're getting really damn close. And as these occur, the victims here is not just the audience for having to watch a terrible team compete, but that's potentially offset with major upsets that you can see. I mean, 2014 Panthers, they won. I mean, yes, the Cardinals had a backup quarterback, but the 2010 Seahawks, they shocked the world by beating the Saints. So, you know, it's kind of like any given Sunday, but also they have the home field advantage because they won their division, so people are upset about that. But when looking at kind of who are the victims here, is the teams that have better records than the division winners, right? So in 2010, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New York Giants both had 10-6 records. They both missed the playoffs because the Seattle Seahawks took that spot. So neither of those teams wound up making it. In 2014, when you had the Panthers going in, the Eagles, who were 10-6, missed the playoffs because they didn't win their division, and they had a better record, but the Panthers won their division, and that was it. And so this brings in an interesting conversation of, should we just do away with this? Should we do away with, if you win your division, not only do you get a home game, but should you just not make the playoffs, and we should just go with the top 6 teams within the conference should make the playoffs? And there's arguments for it and there's arguments against it, right? So the arguments for it is that it puts an emphasis on these divisional games and why they're so important. So, for example, the Green Bay Packers, they have a chance to sweep their division come this Sunday if they beat the Lions. Now, that's obviously a big deal. They won the North last week, and so that already solidified, boom, they're going to be getting into the playoffs. So I understand from that logic, because if you made just the top 6 teams within the conference, it would potentially devalue the divisional games and those rivalries. However, I would argue that it would enhance the rivalries within the conference. But for this particular reason, I think it's almost ridiculous that you have a team, and we're not going to have it this year. You're going to have teams that potentially are going to have like a 9-7 record, and if the Cowboys make it, and they'll have an 8-8 record, but that's like one game. You're looking at like the Rams, for example, there. But I think what is ridiculous is that you have the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, who are two atrocious teams this year, are going to be having a home game. And I don't want to see the NFC East anymore. I think the NFC East has proven this year that no team should be a representative into the playoffs. They should be like, no, it's okay, we're good. And what's it coming down to? If the Eagles can beat the Giants and if the Cowboys can beat the Redskins. Like, this isn't primetime stuff here. And so, like, they'll get the number 4 spot. They're most likely going to be playing the Seattle Seahawks or the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, barring a shocking upset, you know how that game is going to go. But I think it just makes more sense to do the top 6 teams within the conference. It eliminates this, we should have gotten it, but we didn't. You're not going to have too many teams that are going to make it in, while other teams who have better records are going to be sitting on the sidelines or sitting on their couches in January. And I think what it comes down to is you put forth a better product, that the best teams, the best 6 teams from each conference, those are the ones who are going to get into the playoffs. That's just my opinion, but I'm curious to see what your opinion is, and I'm curious to see if you think that we should kind of do away with this whole divisional winner stuff, gets an automatic home game, because do you think it ruins the game? Do you think it enhances the game? I'm very curious. So let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'm sorry, but we're going to have to watch at least one team from the NFC East compete in the playoffs this year. Hopefully they're just gone after the first round. Let me know what you think. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media. See down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the Patreon members over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.